You saw it.
So thank you.
I just want to welcome everybody who's watching at home. We wish you all could be here. I hope one day everyone who's watching will in fact be here on both sides of the podium.
How are you doing tonight? I know you, but maybe some of the people watching at home might not know. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So my name is Vanessa Brantley Newton, and I am an illustrator of children's books, of course, at the SCBWI wonderful Golden Kite Night. So I've been working in children's books for about 15 years, and I'm always doing so many books, but I have just hit a milestone of almost 100 books.
She is a winner of one of the Golden Kites tonight. She won for Best Picture Book Text for her picture book, There Might Be Lobsters. So tell us a little bit about the book and a little bit about yourself.
But it's kind of about my dog who is afraid of the beach.
Okay, so it's a real dog.
Yeah, it's a real dog. Really hates the beach. And I'm not very fond of the beach either, so kind of both of us have a little bit of a fear of the beach.
Your fears, right? So I have a question for you. How do you, as a writer, deal with your own lobster?
I downloaded Paint Song Try because it just says you got to get up and try, because I've had a lot of moments in my career when I kind of have felt like giving up. So I think you need a fight song, and I think you just need to listen to it and just believe in yourself, basically.
Okay, so this is Laurent Lynn and Laurie Hulse Anderson. Laurent is an art director at Simon & Schuster. Laurie Hulse Anderson is a very famous author. And I actually have a question specifically for you from the Hill School in Brockport, New York. And they want to know, why do you like the American Revolution so much?
Because it's amazing. Have you read my books?
I have, yes, and I think the kids have too.
It's nuts. And we've been robbed. We've been robbed for 200 years by boring textbooks that taught us that the American Revolution is like guys with wooden teeth and bad hats and stuff. And actually it was like ordinary people like you and me and all of those kids having to make choices for their families about what kind of country they wanted to live in. What an amazing example they gave us, where people stood up for the country they wanted to live in and fought for their freedom.
And so with children's books, especially picture books, we need to have a good balance of really transforming children's lives, opening new ideas to them, but at the same time it's entertaining and it can be funny. Humor is often underrated. Humor is very hard to write, very hard to illustrate. And then of course with young adult and teen novels as well, like I wrote, as you know, a young adult novel as well. But it deals with activism in a way, but what is your real life superpower? How can you change the world in your own way, not how other people think you should? And that's what SCBWI is all about. It's how to bring in new voices at the same time keep established voices, all those published members that we have, because we're also on the board of SCBWI, and so that's a mission we have. It's an organization for everyone, and how do we encourage those voices? Also, people who their voices are known, they're well published. There's always something new they have to say. So how do we encourage that as well?
I'm standing here with Carol Boston Weatherford, right? So why don't you tell us a little bit about the origin of the book, and then we'll talk a little about being a winner.
The book was actually the idea of Eric Velasquez, who is the illustrator, and he is my 5-time collaborator. So he pitched the idea to me, and it was about 10 years in the making.
I mean, how did that work? It's an unusual progression, right? Usually it's the author and then the illustrator gets involved. So tell us how it worked in this case, sort of logistically for you.
Well, Eric and I were actually, I think, in New York at BEA, and he said he had a book idea, and he wanted to do a book about Schomburg, who is Afro-Puerto Rican. He was a book collector whose collection formed the basis of what is now known as the Schomburg Research Center in Harlem, part of the New York Public Library. So Eric just pitched the idea to me and asked me if I was interested, and I said yes, I was, and I began doing some research. The result is the book.
But can you tell us a little bit about the moment when you found out that you had won a Golden Kite Award?
Sometimes a book surprises you. Some books you think, wow, this book's going to win an award. But Schomburg was such an obscure figure that I didn't really know how the his story was going to connect with readers and with reviewers, but it's all been beautiful. You know, first starred reviews and then the Golden Kite Award, and it's just wonderful to be recognized by my peers, especially having served as a judge in the past for Golden Kite Awards. So it's nice to be on this side.
So this is Linda Sue Park, who is a Newbery Award-winning author and a New York Times best-selling author, and a really wonderful friend, I have to say. So I'm wondering, what is it about, is there something particular about stories about journeying that attracts you and that makes you want to write those types of stories?
Well, I do like to travel, and my family is an immigrant family, so journeys are kind of in my bones, I suppose. And yet, at the same time, it's the universal story, isn't it? Even if you never go anywhere, you take an internal journey, one hopes, whether that's physically or in your growth as a person. So they're the ideal, it's the ideal metaphor.
So you're also on the board of We Need Diverse Books, and I just wanted to kind of get your take on the winners tonight. It was a good representative of diverse books, both in characters and in the authors who created them.
Well, obviously I think it's wonderful, and I think it is a hopeful sign for the direction that the industry is moving in. We still have a lot of work to do, but I am thrilled with this year's Golden Kite winners, and I'll be hoping for more and more and more.
Tell us a little bit, tell us what you won for. Tell us the name of the book and a little bit about it.
I won for, it's sort of a show and tell.
Okay.
For my book on Vincent van Gogh called Vincent and Theo, the Van Gogh Brothers, which is YA nonfiction. So I won for older nonfiction. And it's a book that took me 5 years to write, and I'm really proud of it, and I'm thrilled to have won the Golden Kite.
So when you won the Golden Kite, can you tell us a little bit about how that was for you?
Sure. Well, we get pretty much only junk calls on our landline, and I saw SCBWI. And my first thought was, oh, I think Lynn wants me to come do a nonfiction panel in the summer in Los Angeles, so she's probably calling about that. And then I thought, or maybe, could it possibly be, because I'm a little witchy, and it was.
I got another fabulous winner of the Golden Kite Award, and you won for See You in the Cosmos, which I loved. I just finished it not too long ago. It's a great book. Really fun. So tell us a little bit about, if you would, the idea for the book, or how you decided to write this particular book.
Yeah, about a boy and his dog trying to launch his iPod into space. And so I think like for me, like See You in the Cosmos was very much a book about like me in my own life trying to answer these questions of like, what is family, what is home, and trying to look for those answers. And so I think it ends up being a reflection of that.
I'm standing here in front of the gold carpet with Crystal Allen, who is another one of tonight's award winners. She's winning a very special award. It's a special award for humor called the Sid Fleischman Humor Award, and she won it for her book, The Magnificent Maya Tibbs.
Well, the first one is Spirit Week Showdown, but this one for the award is the Wall of Fame game. I think humor goes across the board and reaches out to reluctant readers. Many reluctant readers will laugh, and they'll turn the page because they want to laugh again. And so as a writer, as an author, that's my job, is to try to get children to read. And I'll do that any way I can. And I've found out that humor works, so I use it. And it has been on point for me, especially to get boys to read. But I'm also been very good with Maya, getting girls to read also. So humor, as far as I'm concerned, is universal. It's a universal language that, I mean, who doesn't like to laugh?
So since this is a humor award, I'm wondering if when you got the call, did you laugh, or did you cry, or did you have some other reaction altogether?
When I saw Lynn Oliver's name across my telephone, I stood up, and I don't even know why I did that. I became completely starched, and I started thinking, oh my goodness, did I pay my SCBWI fee?
They thought maybe they were cutting you off. Huh?
Yeah, this is your last warning, pay your bill. And then I thought, well, that wouldn't be Lynn's job anyway. So then I picked the phone up, and she told me about the award, and it was just, I just got all tingly. I couldn't believe it. And maybe days after the phone call, I was still thinking, this isn't happening. This can't be happening. But it was. And I was just so emotional. My friends were calling. People I didn't know were emailing me. And that's when I realized, yeah, this is happening. And you did this. And you got recognized for it. So it's such a great feeling.
Lana K. Arnold. She is the Golden Kite Award winner for her YA novel, What Girls Are Made Of. Tell us a little bit about it and then a little bit about how it felt to be the writer for it.
I didn't really decide to write it, actually. It's just a sentence came to me. It's the first sentence of the book. When I was 14 years old, my mother told me there was no such thing as unconditional love. And I really think that it's pretty fabulous when a whole book is in its first line. And it seemed to me that the whole book was that. It was the question of what makes someone worthy of love, and all the different kinds of love, right? Because there's parental love right in that sentence, but there's also sexual love and romantic love and love between a person and a pet and love between a person and a god or an idea of God, and ultimately the question of love between a person and herself. And so the book became very complicated as I sort of started to pull apart all the layers of what love is and who gets to decide who's worthy of love in all those different striations.
So I'm here in front of the gold carpet with Kwame Alexander, who is the Newbery Award-winning author of The Crossover, among many other books. So I want to ask you a couple questions. The first thing, of course, I'm curious about, probably everybody's asking you tonight. I just read that you were going to be starting your own imprint, so you're going to the other side.
I started publishing books back in '94. I had my own company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, before I wrote, I published. So this is like in my blood. My parents were publishers. Like as a kid, I was publishing. I did my own company for about 10 years and I wasn't making any money. This was 2005, so I just stopped and I ended up focusing more on my writing. And so 25 books later, I was having lunch with my editor at Houghton Mifflin and we had this conversation and she said, you ever thought about having your own imprint? And of course, like it was like ding, 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 ding. So it's coming full circle. This work I had done, most of my life, I was having an opportunity to now do it again. So I was like, yes, any opportunity I get to promote other authors, to really enhance the landscape of literature that is not only diverse, but, literature that is entertaining and intelligent and inspirational and fun and cool and empowering, all the things that I am.
Gala. We always thought of this as our Oscars, and here we are really kind of going hog wild, and I think that's great. I think the organization has become more diverse. I think that the organization has consciously thought about programming for its professional members, and also continue to think about what can we really give people who are entering the scene and navigating their mid-career questions. I think that it's just been a tremendous period of growth.
If you were watching, let me say, I'm so glad you could be with us. We hope next year you're here in person with us.
Thank you so much for dropping in. Take care.
Everyone.
Good night.
Sending you love.